guys? My name is Bryce. I'll be doing the Savage Series today. I'm a 26-year-old classic physique competitor from Richmond, Virginia. I will be competing in the Warrior Classic in 14 weeks from tomorrow. So we're going to be shooting some chest today. Walk you through what I do, what feels good for me, and yeah, let's get to it. We're going to start off with some machine flies here. I usually do dumbbell flies to start my chest movements. All the benches are occupied today, but I just like to really warm up my chest, get my shoulders back, really get it going, just because I've got longer limbs. I kind of have some shoulder issues, so making sure I spend a lot of time on the prep and the warm up and just make sure I'm nice and loose, I'm warm, ready to go for some bigger pressing movements. Really light, really just feeling the movement, getting the blood in the chest, getting warmed up, getting pumped up. This is kind of when I get mentally in the zone too. Usually some people like to talk in the start, so I'll chat here and there and then get down to business, and that's when the work begins. So this is when I kind of really get in the zone. I've already got 2 sets in. I'm already kind of sweating. I've just committed to what I'm doing today. You know, I've kind of said hey to whoever I need to say hey to. Usually people that know me know he's getting to work now, so leave him be. So do a couple more of these, and then I'm going to start doing some heavier presses to get the upper chest going. One thing that people ask me a lot when they try to train is, oh, how many warm-up sets should I do, or is there a set number? And the answer is really no. Just work out what you need to, get warmed up, take as many sets as you need, keep the weight light. You're not trying to impress anybody or beat the logbook in your warm-ups. It's really just to get warmed up, prevent injury, and just get ready to really hit your main compound lifts. So, you ready? Let's hit it. I like to keep the bench a little bit lower than most people, just because my delts are very dominant in this movement. If it's too high of an incline, it really just transfers the weight to the delts instead of my chest, so I keep it a little lower. I really try to keep my shoulder blades back, retracted, and chest up. Really try to exaggerate this movement, because I know if I go a little too heavy or a little too quick, it takes the load off where I'm really trying to hit. So we'll get into it with my warm-up sets and just move up, see where we get. So the way my programming is structured, usually in my compound, my main movements, I have a couple feeder or build-up sets, as they call them. Get the motion, get the pump going, feel it. Not really tax yourself on those. Working up to one top set. Depends on what it is, but for this, we're going to be working in an 8 to 10 range. Take a couple minutes rest, and then we're going to hit the drop set for this. However, other exercises we'll do rest pauses, we'll do drop sets, but this one's the first movement. We're going to really just try to push some weight, rest, and then push a little bit more weight once we're a little fatigued. This is my boy Kyle. We trained together quite a lot this past year. We just joined on with my coach Kyle Wilkes, and we kind of have our own little separate training going on. So we're trying to make it work with some lifts and spotting each other. But eventually we'll get back on track. Yeah, eventually. But Kyle is going to be competing the weekend before the Warrior Classic in the OCB. What's the show?
I don't know.
He doesn't know the show.
Richmond. That's all I know.
It's coming up. Watch out. He's going to come kill it. So we're going to hit this top set now. He's going to spot me. Hopefully I don't make a fool of myself. Great.
2-0. 1, 2, 3. Go to work right now. Go to work. Yep. You got a couple more. You got a couple more. Let's go. All you. Come on. Yep. Yeah, Noah. Yeah, Noah. Come on. One more if you want it. One more if you want it. Come on. Drive. Good. All right.
So it always helps to have your training get to the next level. Have a really good spotter, a lifting partner, somebody who knows how to get to you mentally. So Kyle was the guy this past year that he figured out ways to get in my head in a good way, to just squeeze out those last couple reps and really mentally get me ready to go for my top sets. I contribute my training progress very highly to him. So find yourself a good training partner. It'll take you a long way. I initially first hired a coach because I got so into fitness and I loved it and I was doing it all on my own. I felt like I was capping myself because I just needed more knowledge from somebody else that actually did this for a lifetime, for a living. So I hired my coach. We worked together for a year and a half. I knew that I needed to put in some serious work before I even thought about stepping on stage. So went through a prep last fall. I competed in September in the Virginia NPC Classic. That went really well. I loved it, so I said I want to compete again. So I put in another long off season, a year and a half, worked on some weak points. Chest is always going to be a weak point. My backside, the judges said you need to bring up your backside, your legs, close the gap in your adductors. So here we are, a year and a half later. I'd like to think I made some progress, but Now the work really starts with this prep, putting it all away.
What are you doing?
12 plus.
Get 20. Get 20. Lock in. Go to work here. Rep now. Yep. Come on, work. Yep. 20 more here. Come on. Go. Yep. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Couple more. A couple more here. All right. Failure.
Perks of having a spotter. You get a couple more reps even if it's assisted. Even if you're failing, you're still working. If you're still pushing, keep it within a smart range. Don't get hurt. But that's why I like having that. You get those extra couple reps when you couldn't normally if you're by yourself. So some of my favorite chest machines are taken right now. So we're gonna hit the old trusty Smith flat chest press. This one really focusing on just overall chest pump. I'm gonna try to take my shoulders, my triceps especially, out of it and really focus on the chest. So really exaggerating, puffing my chest out, shoulder blades back, and pumping. And I'll put my hands a little closer together too. And I'm not really too worried about the range of motion on this. So you need to figure out what works best for you. There's no textbook way to do any exercise. There's no, this is the best exercise for this movement. It's figuring out what works best for your body and just executing it to the best of your ability and just repeating over and over and over again. So this is what we're gonna do. So I'm a big proponent in starting a movement off really slow, really feeling it where you should, and not going up in weight until you truly feel it where you're intending to train. So I really take my time, really squeezing every rep. Another technique for that is if you're already kind of fatigued from another exercise, take your negatives a little slower. Really let it build up, build that tension in the intended muscle. Pause for a half second, whatever it might be, and fire up in a controlled manner. Ego lifting is something that really can cause a lot of issues. You know, you're really only cheating yourself. It's not impressing anybody. It leads to injury, and you're not really even getting bigger. So learning to drop that at the door and just getting down to the basics, even if you have to drop the weight. Big thing that's improved my training over the years. Plenty of lessons to learn from the last show I competed in. The biggest thing was just adhering to your plan from the very beginning and creating good habits, because once you create a bad habit and you don't even think it's a big deal, it's very hard to break it, especially when you realize later on that you should have been doing something differently. So for me, that was measuring every single gram per the gram, not going over. If you're starting cardio and it says 25 minutes, making sure you're actually warm before you start your 25 minutes. Just being very diligent, always doing a little bit more and never letting the lazy voice in your head get to you or telling you it's okay to make an excuse here. Always be in control of your mind when you get tired and fatigued, because if your mind takes over and starts allowing you to make those lazy mistakes, your mind is won. So you got to be on top of that.
That was a grinder.
I debated ditching that, but we're on camera for my last main movement for chest. Just gonna do this standing press. I've got a really good feel for just like the pump overall major inside of the pec. Pretty fatigued, pretty tired. I don't need any more strain on my shoulders. So I'm just gonna kind of go for some volume, some pump here to finish it off. And then we're gonna do some flies to really work the outside of that chest and get that crazy stretch going. Just keep getting blood in there. So load this thing up. Big thing of continuing my life of lifting is staying injury free. Obviously everybody at some point has probably experienced something of injury along the lines, but my biggest thing for prevention is letting your ego stay out of the picture. So in college, I might have been trying to deadlift too much, and I actually popped my rib out and partially bulged a disc in my back trying to, you know, push too much weight. So after that, a lot of rehab and just being smart. I've been fortunate to stay pretty injury-free. Taking my time to warm up, managing inflammation, being smart about my lifts, and biggest thing is just like not doing things that aggravate certain injuries. So I have not barbell squatted, flat barbell benched in probably 2 years. And to some that might sound crazy, but I find it hurts me more than it does good. So I found other stuff that actually works better. So yeah, don't be stupid. Another thing I thought of is a lot of people I see, I'm not 100% good about this, but I'm aware is breath control. How important it is with just everything to do with lifting is injury prevention, making sure your core is braced, but exhaling every time you push. I see so many people hold their breath or don't breathe at all, and you're building up so much blood pressure. There's so much internal pressure on your core. That's how hernias happen. So learning to train your breathing to figure out, all right, I'm inhaling on the way down, I'm exhaling on the way up. And you'll find you'll get a couple more reps out of that over time. So there's a lot going on in your head, my head, every single set. I might put on my favorite song, and I completely forget that song is even on because I'm so in the zone. Being a bodybuilder and having a full-time job as a project manager in the construction industry, you got to manage your time very well. I work probably 60 hours a week in the busy season, which is usually summertime, so I planned my prep based on my slow time, which is right now, because I knew I'd need the most amount of sleep, time to train, time to pose, time to stretch, recover, do everything I need to maximize my prep. So managing your finances, your life, your personal relationships, there's a lot more to it than the gym that leads to a successful career in whatever it might be. So learning to manage your time is one of the biggest life skills I can, suggest. It's figuring out over time, staying structured, staying driven. Sure, there's days I don't want to be here, there's days I don't want to do anything, but having that goal down the road is what keeps you going. Finding a way to get out of bed with something in your head saying, this is why I do it. You got to have a why to be successful in this or in life. So. Perform what are called, it's the Kyle Wilkes, my coach's special, called dumbbell shelves. Basically, you're working the shelf of your chest, so the very upper portion of your chest. I'm going to be squeezing the dumbbells together, almost choking myself out to really squeeze that upper portion. It's kind of a finisher, if you will, for a chest movement that requires a lot of concentration and squeezing, not worrying about the weight, and really just worrying about the tension all the way up, all the way down. So it's kind of tricky. It takes a little while, but I'll try to show you here. Those guys are pretty brutal if you can execute them properly with keeping tension all the way down, all the way up. And the range of motion, you don't really need to go anything further than when you stop feeling it on the way down. That's kind of a big thing that I preach is, there's no correct way to do a movement. Like I mentioned earlier, it's stopping when you feel the tension stop and pushing until when you feel it stop. So people might make fun of you for not, locking out all the way or touching your chest on a bench press movement, but nobody knows why you do what you do, so just do what you need to do. It doesn't matter if you're trying to do anything by the book, unless you're powerlifting, which I'm not doing, so. Finishing up with some triceps. They're already pretty warmed up, already pumped up. Just some pump work, getting it in there. Yeah, triceps are kind of another week area for me, so really focusing on execution. Not really worrying about the weight. Once again, finding out ways to work, taking the shoulders out of it, keeping the elbow joint locked, everything locked, except that. Finishing it off with some machine dips here. This one's kind of cool. It's you know, it's a larger grip handle, so you get to sit. You can kind of position your body where you want. But I'm going to be kind of doing a little different than most people. You can thank Tyler in here for showing me this. But instead of keeping your arms out here, where there's a lot of shoulder play. I'm going to be moving my hands up here to minimize that, and it's going to be really drilling the triceps. It's kind of humbling, so weight's not going to be as heavy, but keeping my elbows in as much as I can. Here's a pro tip for you. If you don't want to look uncool, don't slam the weights. Let it down nice and easy. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Took you through my chest workout for the week on my 8-day split. Once again, 14 weeks out from the NPC Warrior Classic here in Richmond, Virginia. Super pumped up for that. So stay tuned, keep an update on the channel, and look forward to seeing you guys there.